Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be taking a look back at the worst products I tried in 2019. We're gonna be getting a little bit sassy. We're gonna be getting a little bit real, but I feel like these videos are super important to make because even though there are many great products that are worth tons and tons of hype, when you're trying as much as most of us beauty YouTubers try, some things are just not gonna work out for you, and I feel like you guys need to know when that happens. So I've been keeping a running list since January on my computer. Every time I try a product and I really don't like it, I write it down because a lot of these things I end up decluttering or returning. I don't like to hold on to them because I feel like that's just kind of silly. So now that it's the very end of the year, we've got a nice little list, a nice little collection of stuff for me to rant about. Now, of course, I will make the disclaimer like everybody else that's making these videos right now. If you like these products, if they work for you, that's awesome. Keep using them, keep loving them. I am not judging you in the slightest if you enjoy these and can make them work for you. If anything, I'm jealous because I wanted to like all of these products. But unfortunately, sometimes things just don't mesh with our preferences or with our skin types, so just keep it in mind. It's just beauty stuff, it's light, it's fun, so hopefully you guys will understand and at the very least enjoy or find this video entertaining. And with that being said, we've got lots to talk about, so let's get into some of the worst things that I put on my face this year. So this first product takes us all the way back to the beginning of 2019. I'm pretty sure this launched maybe around February, if I'm remembering correctly, and I actually never owned this product. I went to Sephora and I had them make me a sample, which I often do with high-end foundations. I'm someone that likes to try to not be wasteful when I can, so when a new foundation launches, I don't like to just go and buy it right away to try it, because if I don't like it, or I can't find a good shade or something like that, that product is going to be thrown away if I end up returning it. And I may or may not be able to find someone else in my real life that, that will match. So I always find it to be a safer bet. Have them make me a sample, try it out for a week or so, and if I do really like it, I'll go out and buy it. So this particular product, I was so excited to try. I legit made multiple trips to Sephora because the first time I went, I thought they had it there to make me a sample and they didn't, so I had to go back, make a whole nother trip because I was so determined to try this product. And if you haven't already guessed what it is, it was the Hourglass Vanish Liquid Foundation. And this is the thing, so many people rave about the stick version of the Vanish Foundation. It's one of those cult classic products, even though it's ridiculously expensive. However, I've heard more positive reviews from people with normal to dry skin than from people with oily skin like me. So I was always really hesitant to try the Vanish Stick Foundation. I wasn't sure that it would work for me. If you guys watch my videos, you know stick foundations and I have a really weird relationship anyway. I have a really hard time finding any that actually work for me. So I just decided that was a product I probably shouldn't try. So when I saw they were launching a liquid version and it was supposed to be better for people with oily skin, I was all over it. So I got my sample, I took it home, I sat down to do a first impression wear test, and it looked absolutely horrendous on me. Oh my god, I don't think I've ever seen a foundation that's made my skin look worse than that one. And what was so bizarre about it was that, like, here I have super oily skin and it made me look so flaky and so dry, and it was supposed to be really full coverage, but I don't feel like it covered well at all. It was just bizarre, and I applied it exactly the way the brand recommended. They said not to use a primer. It was like a primerless foundation, and they said you only need one pump because it's super full coverage and you don't want to over apply. So I tried to do it exactly by the book, and no matter what, I tried it several times over. I used the whole sample up that I had and I could never make it work for me. And I do remember around that time watching a lot of other people's reviews and a lot of other people having a very similar experience to me. So I know It wasn't just me. I know I wasn't alone. A lot of other people complained about how dry and textured that foundation it made their skin look. But some people said they really liked it, even people with dry skin. I don't know what kind of magical witchcraft they were able to do to make that work for them, but it did not work for me. I'm so glad that I didn't buy it because that would have been such a waste of money. It's a very, very expensive foundation, and I would have just been so upset if I dropped that much money on something that ended up making me look so terrible. Another foundation I tried this year that really disappointed me was this guy right here. This is the Flesh Beauty Pure Flesh Foundation. I picked this up this summer, and I really, really wanted this to work for me. This is a silicone-free foundation, which is a lot of the reason why I wanted to try it. So few foundations don't have silicone in them, and while silicones are not like bad for your skin, I think if you have large pores, sometimes they can be a little bit pore clogging. So I just, I was curious and I really, really wanted this to work. It sounded like it was going to be beautiful. It had some good reviews on the Ulta website. It was supposed to be lightweight, super natural, long wearing. I thought maybe it would hold up better on my oily skin. But man, this was just... it was not good. I knew it was going to be a lighter coverage foundation product, and I was okay with that. I don't need full coverage all the time. I'm perfectly fine going in with something that's more light to medium and then just spot correcting where I need it. But this, I feel like, looked like almost nothing on my skin, and it was very patchy. It was difficult to get a good blend with it. You really, really had to finesse this to make it look good on the skin. And I also feel like it, again, accentuated pores, accentuated texture. It could make me look flaky. If I was going to wear this, I had to like exfoliate in the morning and then put on like a really hydrating moisturizer, and then it might look good. So I was just really disappointed in this. The shade range was so excellent, like it seemed so promising based on all of the claims, but it just never really made my skin look that good. I decided to hold on to it because I don't know what I did with my receipt. I don't know what I did with the box, and I just figured, you know what, whatever. I'd rather keep it than return it and have it just be thrown away. Again, I hate buying foundation just to try it, but unfortunately Ulta doesn't let you make samples the way that Sephora does. So I've managed to still get use out of this by using it to mix in with some of my other thinner foundations to sheer them out. In that respect, I feel like I'm getting some use out of it and it can be nice, but just all on its own, I don't feel like it looks that good on the skin. And then there were concealers. I feel like I struck out hard a lot of times this year when I was testing concealers, because there were so many that launched, so many that were super hyped up, but the majority of them that I tried were so dry looking. Like they would make my under eyes look so crepey and old. I'm not that old. I'm only 32, and I don't have particularly pronounced lines under my eyes. I definitely do have some, but I feel like that's human. A lot of people do. So anything that makes my under eyes look especially wrinkly and especially dry is just, it's an absolute no-go to me. And there were a few particularly bad offenders when it came to the crepey under eye situation. The first of which was the L'Oreal Infallible Full Wear Concealer. This was in that round of drugstore concealers that were all trying to, dupe the Tarte Shape Tape. Also like the e.l.f. Camo Concealer, which I also didn't really like very much. And this just made my under eyes look so dry and so crepey. No matter how I used it, I tried to use a little, I tried to use more, no matter what I set it with, it just always looked so heavy and thick and dry in my under eyes. It was not flattering in the slightest. I also had a really hard time trying to find a good shade for me. The one I ended up getting was too light, and I was, looking at swatches online, I was looking at the tubes in the store, and I thought that I got a shade that would be good for me, but it definitely wasn't, so that was super frustrating. But yeah, overall, that was just a big miss for me. It did not look good, and I feel like the e.l.f. Camo Concealer was the same deal. It also just looked way too heavy and way too dry. Both of them had nice applicators. They were both kind of bigger doe foots, just like the Tarte Shape Tape, but they just were more drying and crepey looking and heavy than even Shape Tape is. Like, I know Shape Tape is super full coverage. I know a lot of people complain about how dry Shape Tape is, but honestly, I've never found it on me to be that dry to the point where it looked the way that that L'Oreal concealer did. That was just, it was not pretty. I also tried a lot of powders this year, and most of them actually were pretty decent. However, one of them was truly terrible. I did not like it at all. And that was the Ciate Extraordinary Setting Powder. I got that in a FabFitFun box. It was a white translucent powder, and honestly, it was, to me, so chalky. It was very fine and soft texture-wise, but every time I used it to like set down my makeup or my under eyes, it made my skin look like all of the life had been sucked out of it. It made it look so textured and so dry, and then I feel like my skin would crank out more oil to like compensate, and I would get shiny faster than if I wore a different powder. So that I did not like at all. I also am generally not a fan of stark white powders. I tend to like things that have a little tint to them, like even though they can be marketed as translucent, I feel like a powder that has at least a little bit of a tint will look more natural on the skin than something that is truly stark white. Then I feel like it's more likely to kind of make your skin just look more ashy and chalky and not good. Another face product that I really did not like, and that was a big disappointment to me because I thought they looked super beautiful in the pan, were the Pixi Glow Cakes. So those launched earlier this year. They had 2 different shades, and it was kind of a dupe for one of those Kevyn Aucoin Neo highlights or Neo blushes where it's kind of like an ombre effect and it's a rectangular pan. So these kind of went from a highlight to a blush or a blushy bronzer kind of tone, and the whole thing was glowy. And that is where I think it went wrong, in that it was just all super frosty and shiny looking on my skin in a way that wasn't flattering. I get the feeling that if you are super pale, they actually might work for you, but if you are someone like me that has a more light medium, kind of verging on medium complexion, or if you're any deeper than me, I feel like they would look ashy AF on you. And I like a good glowy blush. Like, I have no problem with having a glow to my cheeks. I will just wear a glowy blush and not wear a highlight if that's the case. But I don't think there was enough base pigment on the blush side of those compacts to really like give you a blushed look on the cheeks. So then it really just looked like highlight, and on the darker side it just looked like a slightly darker highlight, which was not really flattering on my skin tone. I don't know, it was just weird, and the shifts, the colors themselves were just very like pink and icy, like I said. So on a person who has a more yellow olive undertone to their skin, like it's just not super flattering. So unfortunately, neither one of those really worked very well for me. I think their glowy gossamer duos are 1,000 times more beautiful. Like, if you want a glow from Pixi, get one of those. They're also less expensive. The glow cakes were, I think, $28, which is insane to me for like a drugstore-ish type face product. I think you can get like one of those Jouer blush duos for a few more dollars, and those are just like above and beyond, like so many notches above quality wise, both in product and in packaging. So if you're gonna spend almost $30 on a cheek product, like get something from Jouer, or if you want to get something from Pixi, go with the glowy gossamer duos. Those are really, really beautiful. This next one really hurt because this to me looked so beautiful, so promising. I was so upset that it ended up not being good, and I did end up returning it and getting my money back because it was very expensive, and I very rarely return stuff, so that's telling you something right there. So that product was the Stila Happy Hour palette. So these palettes launched, I think, back in the springtime. There were 2 limited edition palettes. One was Happy Hour, and I think one was called After Hours. And I think they were 12-pan palettes. They were either 10 or 12-pan palettes. The one that I got was the one that had more blue and purple tones. The other palette had more jewel tones, and it was a mix of mattes and these gorgeous, really, really glittery shades, and then some more satiny metallics. And the packaging was beautiful. It was huge. Like, these palettes were absolutely massive. They had a really, really nice mirror inside. They were a little bulky, but they had a lot of heft to them, and they just felt really luxury. Like, aesthetically, they looked like absolutely beautiful palettes. However, that palette was so disappointing. It made me so upset. I did a video, like a makeup playtime, testing it out on camera. I will link it up here for you guys if you want to watch it so you can see in real time like the fail that happened with that palette. But the mattes in there were just not good. They were just not good at all. And I think there were maybe only 4 matte shades in the entire palette, and not a single one of them was decent. It was so disappointing. And I think if the mattes in there had been really, really stellar, I probably would have kept that palette, because even though the other shades were also kind of hit and miss, like I might have liked to keep it to use the glitters and like make them work for me. But knowing that almost half the palette was just bad, I just didn't think that it was worth the almost $60 I think that palette cost. Now, why were the mattes so bad, you may be asking? I shall tell you. They had like no pigmentation. They were not buildable at all. They looked so ashy on me, and it was super, super frustrating. Now, I don't mind a buildable matte formula as long as it actually builds, but these, I feel like I layered and layered and layered, and it really like didn't do anything. The only way I could get even like a transition was using the darkest shade in the palette, and that wasn't even that dark, and it was also kind of like a dark charcoaly color, if I'm remembering correctly. So then I felt like every look that I was doing kind of looked like a colorful variant on a smoky eye. Like there wasn't really a lot I could do with that palette by itself, which was super, super frustrating. So the mattes were just very, very lackluster, and then there were these like satiny metallic shades that to me were a total dud. Like I thought that they might be like nice and shiny and bright on the eyes. No, not at all. You really had to foil them and layer them up to get them to have any impact at all, and even then they were very, very lackluster. And then the glitters were beautiful, but they were very messy. It was the kind of thing where if you were going to use them, you 100% had to do your eyes first, because even if you were using a glitter glue, they just got glitter everywhere. They were kind of that texture where they had like tiny little micro shimmers embedded throughout the formula. So it was not one of those mattes with glitter, but it was kind of a similar sort of deal where the glitter would easily fluff and flake everywhere and get all over your face. So if you're the kind of person like myself that generally prefers to do your face before your eyes, like it was a no-go. So I just struggled so hard with that palette. I felt like it just wasn't inspiring to me because the mattes were just so bad and it was so frustrating to use that I just ultimately ended up deciding to return it. I knew I wasn't going to want to reach for it over all of my other eyeshadow palettes. And, you know, during the course of 2019, I definitely continued to cultivate the mindset of only holding on to things I really, really love. I've been decluttering a lot throughout the year for this reason, even things that are decent. If it's a product that I'm not head over heels in love with and I'm not using all the time, just give it away, let somebody else enjoy it. But honestly, that palette was just so bad that I didn't even feel right giving it to somebody else. I just returned it, said, you know, my piece, got my money back, and moved on. Another eyeshadow palette that really just is not good, it's just not good in my opinion, is this guy here from The Balm. I just talked about this in my recent beauty report video. This is their Pedal to the Metal Vava Vroom cream eyeshadow palette in the shade Shift into Overdrive, which is the colorful one. And this had a lot of promise. Like, these shades are fun, they're kind of glittery, they're colorful. I thought maybe they would be nice for layering all over the lid. Like, even for a more everyday colorful look, like I could get into a cream shadow doing something simple and quick and easy. I use creams like that all the time. Like I mentioned in my beauty report video, the JCat Prismetal Chromatic Eye Mousses. Those are really nice to just kind of like tap all over the lid with your finger, throw on some mascara, and boom, you're good to go. This, however, is just like greasy and not very pigmented, and the shadows crease and they're just not pleasant to use. Like, look at this charcoaly gray one. Like, what is that? It's so patchy and sheer and weird and just greasy. Like, this pink one looks better than the charcoal one, but it still is very streaky and patchy. And the glitter, again, it's very fun, but I feel like because the base is so oily, it actually doesn't really hold the glitter into place. It's more likely to fall out. It creases so bad because it doesn't ever set down, and it's not good. There are so many other better cream eyeshadows out there. Like, this is 100% not worth your money. The Balm has other really great products. I think they do powders so well. Their face products, beautiful. Their Bahama Mama bronzer, like the Mary Luminizer, their Balm Springs blush, like so many things. Beautiful, beautiful products. Their Schwing liner, like the best liquid eyeliner ever. But this is not good. Then I have a few mascaras to rant about. I tried a lot of mascaras this year. I usually had at any given time maybe 2 or 3 in rotation that I would use for about 3 months, and then I would move on to something else. So I retried a lot of formulas this year. I tried some new formulas this year, and there were a couple that were just not great. Probably the biggest disappointment to me was the Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara. That was a repurchase. So that was something that used to be a favorite years ago that I bought this year to try again, and oh my goodness, it was not good. I don't know if they changed the formula or if I've just tried so many better things and like I just didn't know any better back in the day. I don't know, but it was very sticky and it clumped all of my lashes together. It was like a super wet formula, and I feel like it didn't really add pretty volume. It kind of made me look like I just had like 5 eyelashes on each eye, and it was an absolute nightmare to take off. I feel like it was so hard to remove at the end of the night. It would just be the mascara that never ended. You would go in with micellar water or an oil-based makeup remover. You would try to remove it. You would think you got all of it off. Then you'd wash your face and you would have raccoon eyes. So then you'd go in with micellar water and take more of it off. And then in the morning when I'd wash my face again, I would have raccoon eyes again. And I was just like, where is it coming from? Oh my God, it was so annoying. It would drive me so crazy. I feel like for the month that I was using it, I just had perpetual black around my eyes. Needless to say, I gave up on it after, a couple of weeks of trying it out. I was just kind of done. So that was super disappointing. I like the Lash Paradise a lot, so if I was going to recommend a Maybelline mascara, I'd say go with the Lash Paradise, but Lash Sensational, man, I used to think it was so great, but now not so much. Another one that really disappointed me was the new ColourPop BFF mascara. That one seemed like it would be so good, and it came in so many fun colors. Like I was really rooting for that formula, but it flaked on me so much. Like every single time I wore that mascara, after about 5 or 6 hours, I would just have little mascara flecks all on my under eyes every single time, and that drives me up a wall, because there are so many mascaras that don't do that to me that I kind of feel like any mascara that does, like, I don't have time for. And it stinks because the way it makes your lashes look on first application is beautiful. It gives them some volume, but it also gives them a lot of separation, keeps things looking very fluttery. It's a really nice everyday mascara as far as how it looks. Like, it's not too much, but it definitely gives your lashes a boost. It doesn't hold up the way that I want to. And it's just not okay. Another eye product I really didn't like very much that I was reminded about by Kelly Gooch watching her disappointing products from 2019 video this morning were the Kokie Crystal Fusion liquid eyeshadows. I'd almost forgotten about them because for whatever reason I forgot to write it down on my list, and I decluttered all of mine shortly after I tested them out. But man, I was super disappointed in those because I had really wanted them to work. They looked like they were gonna be beautiful, and they had so many really gorgeous like dual chromatic shades, but I just felt like they were so lackluster and patchy and just not great. These, I would say, were more akin to the Stila Shimmering Glow liquid eyeshadows. I thought they were going to be dupes of the Glittering Glow, but they're not really. They don't have the glitter particles in them the way the Stila Glittering Glows do. They have more of a shimmery kind of sheer base the way the Shimmering Glows do. But unfortunately, they were too sheer, or at least the colors that I personally purchased were super sheer. So they just went on really unevenly, and I felt like every time I layered them over other eyeshadow, they kind of picked things up, made things look kind of weird and patchy. They weren't really impactful, and I didn't like them. There are so many other liquid glitters on the market right now that I feel like any brand that doesn't really deliver, again, I don't have time for. There are plenty of other affordable options. I'd rather use those instead. So yeah, that was a super huge bummer because the price was great, the colors were great, but I just felt like they were a very mediocre product at best. Okay, and then the last makeup product fail that I want to talk about before we get into a couple skincare products that I really didn't like was a lip product. I tried a lot of lip products this year. 99% of them were great to good. This one, though, I just couldn't get into. I know a lot of people like this lip gloss formula, but I do not like it at all. And that would be the Wet n Wild Mega Last Liquid Catsuit High Shine Lipstick. Now this says lipstick. Really, it's a lip gloss. I have the shade Send Nudes, which I think is a gorgeous color. Don't get me wrong. This is very similar to On Repeat from Dose of Colors. But this just felt way too goopy on the lips for me. It was not comfortable. It also smells like plastic. Like, it smells kind of gross. I really did not like that. And I felt like it was very patchy on me. This particular shade was better than the other shade that I tried, which I think was called Papa Don't Peach or something peach. It was more of a peachy pink color. That one, no matter how I put it on, always looked super patchy on me, even if I put a lip liner underneath. Like, it just did not look great. This one, I feel like because it's a nude and it's closer to your natural lip color, looked a little better, but it wasn't that good. Honestly, I feel like I would rather tell a person to like just shell out the extra money and get one from Dose of Colors or M Cosmetics or something like that, because it will be so much more worth it for how good of an experience you'll have with that gloss. Like, who goes through a whole lip gloss, you know? Like, very, very rarely will we use the whole thing up. So I feel like in some cases, it's just worth spending a little extra to get a gloss that you can use the whole year that you're really gonna love. So to finish things up, I have two skincare products that really just, they did not do good things for my skin. So I just felt that they were worth re-mentioning. Those two products were the Formula 1006 So Totally Clean Micellar Water, which I decluttered months ago. It was an in and empties video. And then this guy right here, which I just mentioned in my recent skincare video, the Equate Beauty Hydrating Cleanser. So the Formula 1006 Micellar Water I did not like because it burned my eyes so bad. I sort of feel like the entire purpose of micellar water to me is to remove residual eye makeup, or to help break down most of my eye makeup so that when I go in with my cleanser, there's not that much left on my eyes. And so therefore, to me, it does me no good if something makes my eyes super red, irritated, and burned. I also feel like on the rest of my face, it left behind a film. I feel like it irritated my skin in general. I think it may have also caused me some breakouts. Like, it was not good. It's an affordable product, but I don't like it. Again, I feel like Bioderma is worth the extra money. You can get it now, I think at Walgreens for like $14. It's definitely less than $15 for a 200 ml bottle of Bioderma, and it is so worth the investment. That stuff is so gentle, so effective, the best. Would definitely recommend you get that over certainly that Formula 1006 one. And then this guy here, such a disappointment. This is a dupe for the CeraVe or CeraVe, I don't know which is the right way to say it, hydrating cleanser, which is a cult classic product, but I did not like this at all. I felt like it left a film behind on my skin. It also made it feel like it was drying my skin out terribly. Like, when I was rinsing this off my face felt squeaky, which is never to me a good sign. I don't like it when my skin feels squeaky clean. That usually means that it's being stripped, but at the same time, it also felt like it was leaving a layer behind, and it wasn't really breaking down my makeup well enough. It wasn't breaking down the debris on my face well enough. So I almost felt like I had this like sludge left behind that was just clogging up all my pores. My skin looked really irritated. It was not good. I was really disappointed. And it's funny because in the comment section of that video, a number of you guys said that you had the same experience with the brand name version of this cleanser and that it did not work for you at all. So I'm glad I wasn't alone, because I feel like this is such a cult classic product. Even though this is the like knockoff Walmart brand version, the ingredients lists are identical with the exception of the original has parabens and this one has phenoxyethanol as the preservative in it. Alright guys, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me during this little rant fest. I feel like that was very cathartic. It was good to just like let out all that energy. Sometimes you just gotta like let it go. You just need to vent out the negativity and just move on, you know? Either way, I hope you guys found this video helpful or entertaining. If you did, I hope you will consider giving it a thumbs up. I always really appreciate your support so much. And if you're new here and you're not already subscribed to my channel, I hope you will consider clicking that button, coming back and hanging out with me again. I have my best of beauty video coming very, very soon. I already filmed it. I did it right before I filmed this one, so I will be editing that and putting it up shortly after this. But yeah, on that note, I'm gonna let you guys go, but I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.